make sure that we give them ample rest. The next one we're going to do, and Matt, I'll have you go this way. Ellis, I'm going to have you go profile view from side to side. These are called our speed skaters. This is great for developing explosiveness one leg at a time in a very basketball-specific type movement. Players are going to balance on one leg, and they're going to bound laterally to the other side, stick, and move back and forth. They're going to try to cover as much ground as they can, and ultimately the goal is not to take a second hop. So I don't want to see a hop to get back. The goal is to be able to plant, stabilize, and explode. You're going to see them load to explode in the other direction. So why don't we go ahead and get 6? Let's get 3 each side. Yep, nice. Perfect. Any of these different jumps and drills that we're doing, you can put a different emphasis. You can put an emphasis on as much power as you can, where in this one, they would cover as much distance as they possibly can. Another emphasis could be more for speed, where they might actually shorten their length, the stride length, but they'll go quicker. And we try to mix it up and use as much variety as we can when we're doing our stuff. The next series we're going to do is a series of jumps and jump turns. The reason I like these drills, and we incorporate this in a lot of what we do, is to work on a proper landing. As coaches, we usually spend so much time working on the jumping, but we don't spend much time teaching correct and proper landing. When you're landing, you want to make sure that the weight is evenly distributed over your entire foot, so you don't try to land up on your tiptoes. That will actually increase the stress on your knee. So it's okay for your feet to land flat, and you want to land with what's called a quiet landing or a soft landing. And you use everything in your body, every joint in your body, to kind of decelerate and absorb that shock. So when you land, it's a nice, soft, quiet landing. It's a smooth motion, kind of an accordion style as you lower yourself to the ground, as opposed to landing loud and stiff, where you can feel that shock reverberate from your ankles and knees and low back. So we want to work on that. But we also want to work on players jumping and landing from a variety of different positions. So what we're going to do now, guys are going to start facing forward in an athletic stance. When I say jump, they're going to jump, and in midair, they're going to turn 90 degrees to the right and exhibit that nice soft landing here. And then I'll say jump, and we'll go back here, jump, here, and on the 4th one, we'll be back to facing forward. So we're going 90-degree jump turns right, jumping as high as you can each time. Jump. Yep, nice soft landing. Let your feet, yep, that's it. Let your feet flat. Jump. Nice. Jump. Perfect. Jump. Excellent. Anytime we do something to the right, we would also make sure we do something to the left. So our next set would be a set of jump turns 90-degree left. We'll go ahead and just do everything to the right for the purposes of the DVD. The next one, we're going to go 180 degrees. So players are going to face in this direction. They're going to jump, turn 180 degrees, land nice and soft. So now it's only 2 jumps to get back to where we started. You're going over your right shoulder. Jump. Yep. Jump. And perfect. Yep. Make sure those feet land flat, Ellis. Don't let your heels come up. The last one we'll do, which is certainly the most challenging, is 360 degrees. So the player is going to jump, turn 360 degrees, and land nice and soft. Now, while certainly at DeMatha we're fortunate enough to have some players that may eventually do a 360 dunk in a game, that's not why we're doing this. We're doing this because we want to teach them how to control their body in space, and we want to teach them and their bodies how to land from a variety of different positions. When you're playing basketball, you're moving and jumping and landing from so many different angles and positions. We want to make sure that we condition your body, your muscles, tendons, and ligaments to do that in a structured, controlled environment, which is what we have here. So again, I'm not expecting any of our players to run down the court, jump, and do a 360. If so, they'll probably be sitting on the sideline with me very soon after. But we want to work on their ability to control their body in space. So right now, you're jumping over your right shoulder, 360, try and stick the landing, jump. Nice, yep, that's good. Square up. Let's get one more. Jump. Perfect, and relax. Now, what we tell our guys, and that 360 is extremely challenging. When they land, if for any reason they don't land on balance, they land a little bit off, the goal is to quickly assume an athletic position as fast as possible so that in a game, they would be ready to make another move. As basketball players, whether on offense or defense, you may make a move and get yourself slightly out of position. The goal is to quickly get back in position as fast as possible. So if they're doing a jump and they land kind of awkward, I want them to square up and get back to ready as soon as possible. Now, an advanced version of this is adding a second jump. So we do our first jump for height. So if we're doing our quarter turns, explode up as high as possible. As soon as they hit the ground, they're going to have a second jump. Since Matt has the ball, Matt's going to make sure that the ball never goes below his chin. So it's going to look just like this. Jump, and then get a second jump. First jumps for height, second jumps for quickness, which again, in basketball, you have to be prepared to give multiple jumps. So let's go quarter turns right. I'll just say jump one time. You'll do 2 jumps. Jump. Yep, and then land. Jump. Nice. Jump. Jump. Perfect. I'll give you a few seconds, and then we'll do the same thing with the 180. So you're going to jump 180, and your second jump, you're still facing the same way when you jump. Let's go ahead and let's do 2 of them with our 180. Ready? Jump. Jump again. Nice. Jump. Perfect. And I'll give you a second, and then we'll try our 360. Another thing that's great about doing this type of plyometric stuff, that you can do it with your entire team. This can be something that you incorporate in before possibly you do any of your practices or your workouts. From a plyometric standpoint, you want to do this stuff when your players are at full power and at full strength. So when you do your plyos, you'll do a structured warm-up. You'll do some dynamic flexibility, and then if you're going to do plyometrics that day, it should be the first thing on the agenda. I do not recommend exhausting your players through a lower body strength workout and then going to plyometrics. One, you increase the chance of injury because the legs and mind are fatigued, but the players aren't able to produce as much power. So this needs to be priority number 1 when it's on the day's agenda. Let's just try one of our 360s. You get 1 chance to nail it, 360 plus a second jump. Jump. Nice, excellent, and relax. Our next series of plyo jumps are going to be some multi-directional jumps. The first set are called pogo jumps, and we're kind of looking for that bouncy effect. Basketball is a game of high-intense, fast-paced activity with muscular endurance where players are actually required to perform multiple jumps at any given occasion. So the ability to just do, an all-out, powerful, standing vertical jump one time is not very relevant to the game of basketball. We want to find some things where players are moving in a variety of different directions, and as soon as they strike the ground, they move into another position. The guys now are going to do a series of pogo jumps with both feet. It's a 2-foot jump, 2-foot land, and they're going to make a plus sign. So they're going to always come back to center. They're going to jump forward and back to their right and back to the center, left and center. They're going to go around twice. The first time they can be fairly conservative in their jumps. The next time I really want them to challenge themselves and really try and jump as far in each direction as possible. We'll have 2 different views going on so you can see all the action. And as we did with our other drills, Matt will hold a basketball the entire time and Ellis will not. So why don't you guys go around twice? Go ahead whenever you're ready. Yep. Now cover some more ground this time. There you go. Really challenge yourself. Yep. There you go. Yep. Yep. Nice. And perfect. And relax. Certainly, as we just saw there, we would make sure we want to put a little more space in between our players. But if you have your team of 12 to 15 players and you have access to a half court or even a full court, you've got plenty of room to do this. The next series is going to be the same concept, except we're always going to be jumping off of 2 feet and we're going to land on 1 foot and push back off that same foot. So it's going to look like this. I'm in an athletic stance. I'm going to jump off 2, land on 1, push back off 1, land to 2. And it's okay for them to land with a 1-2. So if I'm here, I jump forward and back, forward and back. Why don't we just we'll go to the front. So you'll still go this way, you'll go this way. Get 2 each leg, jumping forward to 1 foot, pushing back, whenever you're ready. Boom, then push back, yep, then switch feet. Make sure you come back to a good athletic stance. There you go, pause for a second on the way back. Yep, second time, cover some more ground. Yep, and perfect, and relax. Then the next sequence we'll do is the same thing, except now we'll go backwards. So we're gonna have a 2-foot stance. We're gonna jump back to 1, pause, forward to 2. Back to 1, forward to 2. Every time when you come back to 2, guys, make sure you get in that athletic stance. So it's okay if it takes a second. So here, explode, get set. Here, explode. First 2 reps, go nice and easy. Last 2 reps, cover as much ground as you can. Yep, go ahead whenever you're ready, guys. Yep, nice, there you go. Yep. Nice. Perfect. Once again, as we've mentioned several times while doing these DVDs, these guys are only doing a couple reps for demonstration purposes. You could have your players do 4 to 6 reps each leg, each direction. The next direction we'll do is lateral. This is similar to our speed skater, except they'll always come to center. So we're in a 2-foot stance. We jump to 1, back to 2. Jump to 1, back to 2. First 2 reps go nice and easy. And we'll alternate side to side. So go ahead to your right, then to your left. Make sure you've got enough room that you don't run into the wall. So turn here, why don't you turn sideways? Yep, right there. Go ahead, whenever you're ready, guys. Yep, back to 2, back to 2. Yep, come back to 2. Yep, now jump to your left. Yep, back to the center on 2 feet. Now jump to your right. Yep, there you go, perfect. Perfect. And relax. Nice job. Perfect work, guys. If you want to really get creative, you can start adding some different twists into the motion. I'm not going to have them do it, but I can demonstrate a couple reps. So I could go from here, I could jump forward and across, and then back to forward. Forward and across, and then back to my ready stance. I can do the same thing going back. I can go back, open my hips up. Back, open my hips up. So as with any of our exercises and drills, you want to use your creativity to find new angles, new ranges of motion, just new ways to stimulate the players that you're working out. In our next progression of plyometric drills, we're going to use some box jumps. Having been a high school strength coach for the past 10 years, I understand that most high schools are on a budget and don't have the money for a lot of different things. And I've always been a big believer you can make a lot of things happen with very little budget. We actually made these plyometric boxes with just some wood that we got at the Home Depot and a little bit of elbow grease. So don't ever let that be an excuse for why you can't do something. And then we just spray painted them red to match the DeMatha colors. Most important thing, obviously, if you're going to construct some boxes, make sure that they're extremely sturdy and can withstand the impact of a fairly large-sized player jumping on and off. Before you get into any type of box jumps, we're going to be jumping onto or off of box. It's extremely important that you coach a proper landing. As we mentioned earlier, players rarely get injured during the jumping phase. It's the landing phase where there's all the different impact. So we want to make sure we teach a proper landing. On a proper landing, it's important for players to let the ankles, knees, and hips absorb all of that shock, work together almost in an accordion fashion, that their feet stay flat, that both feet hit the ground at the exact same time. They don't land 1, 2, they land together. And that they land chest over knees over feet. Now what we're going to do this time, we're going to use a variety of different landings. The first time through, they're going to land hip width apart. So they'll step off of the box. All they're going to do is step up. They step off, land hip width apart, stick the landing. The next time they go through, I want them to take a little bit of a wider base. And the last time they go through, I want them to take a narrow base. Once again, in the game of basketball, you're going to land from a variety of different positions and variety of different angles. So we want to try and mimic that in a controlled environment. And I'll take a look at what they're doing right here. So first time, let's just go through, step off, hip width apart. Yep. Little narrower if you can. Yep. Let's go one more time each with that. Ellis, you got to make sure your feet stay flat. And Matt, keep your feet in a little bit so they're not too wide. Yep, that's better. Just don't come up on those tiptoes, Ellis. Everything else looks good, buddy. Yep, that's much better. Now let's go with a little wider base. So a little bit wider than hip width. Yes, nice. Same thing. And perfect. Now let's take a narrow base. So your ankles are probably 3 inches apart on this one. This will feel a little different. Yep, perfect. Beautiful, yep. And that's great. The first set we're going to do are just some quick jumps. Matt's going to use the 12-inch box. Ellis is going to use the 24-inch box. And the goal is to spend as little time on the ground as possible and as little time on the box as possible for repetitive jumps. Again, as we mentioned earlier, for basketball players, being able to jump high is important, but being able to jump repetitively is even more important. So right now, the guys are only going to go for about 5 to 10 seconds. If you were doing this for real, it could be anywhere from 30 to a minute. So go ahead, guys, when you're ready, and go. Jump on and off. As soon as you hit, you're right back up. Yep, perfect. Yep. Get a little more of your foot on there, Matt. Yep, there you go, good. 3, 2, 1, and relax. If you wanted to, you could do these same drills in a similar fashion to the pogo jumps. You could do quick jumps from left to right. You could do quick jumps where you jump all the way on and all the way over. Again, whatever you can think of and do safely and progressively, you can do. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to slide the small box out of the way. And we're going to do a few different jumping exercises on the 24-inch box. I found for a lot of this stuff, you don't really need a much higher box to get out of this what you need. You don't have to have something that goes up to 48 or 50 inches. The whole key with the box jumps is to be able to utilize your power to jump as high as you can, but to minimize the impact by landing on a surface that's elevated so that you don't have to come all the way back down to the ground. So just keep that in mind, that I think if you make some boxes between 12 and 24 inches, they can certainly meet all of your needs. We're going to do two different types of explosive step-ups. The first one I'll have Matt demonstrate. He's just going to put his right foot on the bench, and he's going to explode up, trying to put his head through the ceiling, and he's going to push off of his right leg, and his right leg is also going to be the first one to hit the box on the way down. So he's going to jump here, explode up, getting some good arm drive, like he's driving to the basket. Why don't you just get 4 of those for me? Yep, explode up. Yep, going for height. That's great. Nice. Make sure that foot stays on there. That's great. And relax. That's perfect. One progression we could do from this would be an up and over, where you're going to push hard through the inside foot and explode up, and then you're going to actually change positions in the air. The inside foot will always stay on top of the box. So you're going to explode up here, here, and push. Ellis, why don't you get that? Why don't you get 4 of those? Our final 2 plyometric drills are extremely basketball specific, and these are usually players' favorite drills to do because they utilize 2 moves that are constantly done in the game. And these have been, brought to attention by some of the best players in the NBA. The first is going to be what's called a Euro step, which for all intent and purposes is a lateral bound right, a lateral bound left, and then a jump with a 2-foot land. We're going to demonstrate it to one side. You'd certainly want to make sure that you do both sides. In the game, when you're doing this, you'd have a defender that's in your way ready to take a charge, and you'll step basically around that defender in order to get to the basket. So we want to mimic that now. And the only difference between what we do now and what we would do down on the court for real is we want to over-exaggerate it. It's okay if this Euro step is not exactly like you'd use it in a game. We're working on building strength and power. So what I want the guys to do is over-exaggerate their steps. They're going to take as wide a bound right as they can, wide a bound left, jump, land 2 feet in a shot-ready position. Why don't we go through twice with the Euro step? So you get one, pass it back. Boom, boom, perfect. Yep, and you turn and pass. Same thing, Ellis. Boom, boom, nice. Let's get one more each, really exaggerate the step. Nice, excellent, guys. Last one. Excellent, perfect. And our next move is what's called a pro step. And this would be where you would take a dribble and a 2-foot hop where you're rotating your body to split 2 defenders, and then you'll turn another 180 degrees to finish. So the guys will be here, they're going to jump to split the defense, then they're going to jump and land on the box. So we're getting some good 2-foot jump and land, but we're also getting some good rotational movement. Let's get a pro step twice through. So we go here, here, excellent, looks great. Here, here, yep, we got to get it without that pause, everything else is good. As soon as you hit the ground, go right back up. Boom, boom, nice, yep, good stick. Boom, boom, perfect, excellent. One of the key components to being a more explosive player on the court is really strengthening up your lower body and core. We've already covered core earlier in the DVD. Now we're going to put our focus on strengthening the lower body. As with all of our strength training guidelines and principles, we want to do so in a variety of different angles and planes of motion, and use some creativity. A lunge, a step up, and a squat make up the bulk of what we do from a lower body standpoint, but we have a million different lunges and squats and step-ups that we can do. So we want to challenge our players with as much variety as we can. The first thing we're going to do is a series of lunges. Right now, we'll just demonstrate a couple reps of each, But what, using basketball terminology, what players need to understand is their left foot in this instant will be the pivot foot. So the left foot is not going to move, just like it couldn't if you were on the court. And we're going to do a variety of different lunges. So I'm going to have Matt come out and demonstrate. We've got 6 different lunges that we'll do. Now, when you're planning your strength program, you can do this in a few different ways. On one day, you could pick 2 of these lunges and go through those motions, and the next day you pick something different, or you could have a player go through all 6 and have them go through that 2 or 3 times. There's so many different ways that you can do this, and it all works very effectively. Right now, we're just going to use body weight. The next progression would be to hold dumbbells or to hold a medicine ball. Any type of external resistance. And as we mentioned earlier, changing your foot position will change the way that you work your core. Well, we can do the same thing with our lunges as we can change our hand positions. If I were to give Matt some dumbbells, he could hold the dumbbells and he could do a lunge and reach down to the ground. He could do a lunge and reach to the sky. He could do it, there's so many different things that we can do, but I'm going to leave that creativity up to you. What we'll do now is just a variety of lunges. His left foot is his pivot foot. He'll make sure that his ankles, knees, hips, and shoulders stay up and stay facing forward. He's going to step forward with his right foot into a nice long lunge and then push back. Yep, once you do 2 of those. Now we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to move lateral. He's going to go 90 degrees to his right. Now the most important teaching point on this, when he steps to his right, want to make sure that this foot stays flat. The game of basketball is played with both feet flat on the ground. I don't want his ankle to roll over and the sole of his foot to be exposed. So he's going to step here. He's still keeping ankles, knees, hips, and shoulders facing forward. He's not turning this foot open. He's keeping it here. This leg will stay straight, and he'll push down into a lunge. Great for strengthening the hips and groin. Why don't you do 2 of those? Yep, perfect, and push back. Yep. As soon as you go down, push right back up. There you go, and perfect. Our next angle we'll take is 135 degrees. Matt's going to keep his left foot facing forward. His entire left leg will face forward, and this is when he is actually going to rotate his hips and his shoulders, and he's going to aim for back diagonal 135 degrees. So he's going to point his foot to where he's trying to go, and he'll go into a lunge position here. This foot stays here and pushes back. Really great for the groin and hips. So it's going to look just like that. 135 degree lunge. Yep, perfect. And perfect. And you can flip back around. Our next lunge is going to be a step back lunge. This is going to look almost identical to a forward lunge, except we'll be stepping back, still keeping ankles, knees, hips, and shoulders facing forward, and then stepping forward. This one works the hip flexor a little bit different. So Matt's going to step back with his right foot. Yep, and forward. And perfect. The next 2 lunges, these are uncommon lunges that are rarely done, but are so great for building that strength in the hips and glutes area. The first is a step behind lunge. I'll face the camera and square up. I've got ankles, knees, hips, and shoulders facing forward. I'm going to take my right leg and reach it back as far as I can, trying to stay as parallel as possible, and I'm going to drop that back knee to the ground and then step back. If there's any discomfort in that front knee, if a player needs to pivot their foot a little bit, that's more than fine. But the goal is to try and keep that left foot stationary, facing forward, drop that back knee down, and then step up. Yep. Perfect. Yep, that's okay. Yep. Get one more and keep that foot completely flat. There you go. Yep, there you go. I know it's hard there. That's great, but that's great for your ankle. And our last one is a crossover lunge. Same principles that we just had, except instead of stepping behind, we'll step across and in front. And this time I'm trying to keep my chest staying square to the direction I'm facing. So I'm going to step across and down. You can pivot this back foot as necessary, but keep that chest facing forward, and you'll really feel that in your hamstring and backside. Yep, drop the back knee to the ground. Yep, there it is. Perfect. Let's get 2 more just like that. Now you got the feel for it. Looks good. Yep, that's okay. One more. And you'll see with your players that these initially, especially the uncommon lunges, are extremely difficult to do at first, so there's no need to add any external resistance. Once players have been doing these for a while, again, you can add dumbbells, you can add a medicine ball, you can change what you're doing from the waist up to make it a different exercise. And lastly, what we'll do, I'm going to have Matt just do 1 repetition of all 6 reps all in a row. His left foot will stay as his pivot foot the entire time. So let's go forward lunge. Let's go lateral lunge. Come towards me, 135-degree lunge. Step back lunge. Straight back, yes sir. Step back behind lunge. Yep, there you go. And crossover lunge. And drop down, and perfect. Nice job. I believe I alluded to it earlier in the DVD that the reason lunges are so important, you actually do these motions when you're down on the court and when you're playing. If I'm trying to get past the defender, and he's in a defensive stance, and I explode to go by him, I am in a lunge position, but I'm not always in a perfect lunge position where everything is straight. So sometimes we have to move at an angle. So it's extremely important to take your body through these different ranges of motion. Another great one-legged exercise series we use is a step up, and we'll use the same plyo boxes that we handmade for our plyometric jumps. And what we're going to do is similar to the lunge concept of different angles, we're going to do the same thing with a step up. And for the most part, any of the lunges we did, we can also do with a step up. First thing Matt's going to do, he'll put right foot on top. And with the step-ups, you want to make sure your entire foot is on the surface, no heel hanging off, for two reasons. One, you're more likely to hurt your ankle with something hanging off, but two, you're applicating all the force through your heel. So Matt's going to have a good upright posture position, and he's going to drive that other knee up straight to the sky. So he's going here, and he'll just do 2 or 3 reps on his right leg. Yep. If you want to involve the hip flexor more, he's going to do the same thing, except this time he'll take his foot off each time. So we go here and step down, here and step down. Yep. And we can always alternate. And the most advanced version of this, which we can do, is a combination step up and lunge. So he's going to go here. He's going to step up. When he steps down, he steps back into a lunge. Here, up, back into a lunge. This way we're combining, getting more bang for our buck. Why don't you do 2 of those? Yep, and step back with the right. Perfect. Excellent. We did a forward lunge earlier, and then we went to a lateral lunge. Well, we want to do the same thing with our step-ups. So we're going to stand lateral to the box. We'll put a foot on. Now, it's important to keep this foot parallel with this edge of the box, not to let it open up. We will do that one shortly, but right now I want to keep it parallel. And I want to try to get my bottom foot a little bit away from the box so that I'm getting more groin, so that I'm actually pulling myself up using my groin. So Matt's going to do a step up here. And he's just going to raise the knee. He doesn't need to twist at the top, but get some good width at the bottom. Keep that foot square, yep. This is a great way to work the muscles of the groin. Perfect. Now, similar to our 135-degree lunge, we're going to stand here facing forward, but Matt's going to put his foot perpendicular to the edge of the box, and at the top, he'll turn and face this direction. So now we're working the hips and groin differently. So he's going to go from here to here. This foot never moves. Still trying to get some width here to here. Why don't you do 3 of those? Yep, nice. And the last one we'll do, because of a box of this height, it puts the knee in a compromising position to try to step back into a lunge. So the only one we'll add now will be a crossover step. So we're going to stand lateral to the box. He's going to step across with his left foot. And the hardest part is keeping this foot parallel to